welcome to Unscripted on LinkedIn Live. And you know what? Today is a really exciting day because I always have my girlfriends on. Today, I have a great guy friend on. So I want to welcome all of you to my incredible friend, Jay Rosenzweig, founder and CEO of Rosenzweig and Company. He's like one of the girls because he just is such a great friend of all of ours. So everybody, please welcome Jay to the FQ community. Jay, so happy to have you here.
Hey, everyone. So happy to be here. Thank you so much, Shelley, and thank you for all the amazing work that you do, which really is work that we do in common cause.
No, it's really true. You're such an amazing supporter. So I just want to say thank you for all that you do. I want you to start off and tell us all about the Rosenzweig Report, because I think that you feature so many amazing women and showcase and give so much coverage. So tell us about that.
So I'm Canadian based, and I've been running a leadership strategy firm for the past 20 years or so. And in 2006, against the backdrop of a lot of things that I found disconcerting in terms of women in leadership, I decided to look at the 100 top publicly traded companies in Canada. And just like in the United States, public companies have to disclose the compensation of their CEO, CFO, and the next 3 or 4 or 5 highest paid executive officers. And so I did that and essentially looked at the top 500 executive positions in Canada and determined what percentage it would be in terms of women. And I thought the numbers would be low, but I didn't realize how low they were. It was 4.6% at the time. And I determined that I'm going to do this work year after year, this annual report that I do, until hopefully one day I work my way out of a job. If you fast forward to today, our 17th annual report, which came out a number of months ago, and which I thank you for contributing to, the good news is that the numbers have doubled. The bad news is we're still under 10%, so we have a lot of work to do.
Well, I mean, it's just so important to bring the visibility to the numbers, because the numbers say it all. And, you know, while it's doubled, obviously 10% is still terrible. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, so you have spent a lot of time with incredible people, Sheryl Sandberg, Mark Cuban. Have you seen things in common when you interview all these remarkable people? Is there a common denominator? Is there a level up, a level in between?
There definitely is a common thread with individuals who are in really top leadership positions and who are really inspirational figures in a lot of ways. And both Sheryl and Mark have actually endorsed and provide comments and quotes to my report. And the reason I bring in all of these influencers in the early pages of my report each year is to amplify the discussion and amplify the importance of the discussion. But the one thing I'll say, and it's related to how helpful they were in the report, is I find that the more senior you are, the more senior the people I approach, the more responsive they are. You know, Mark Cuban, if I send him an email and ask him for help with an introduction or whatever, which he's done many times for me, including in the Web3 space, like he'll respond within 5-10 minutes.
He's the best.
Same thing with Sheryl. And when you look at the more mid-level, and we're involved dealing with mid-level people in the corporate world as well, given my leadership and talent strategy business, they're much less accessible in a lot of ways, and they actually will show a lot more attitude. And I find that the more senior the person, the more humility and the more grace they often bring. It's a generalization, but I see that more and more. It's a very interesting thing. Maybe that's why they reach the top.
I bet that's incredibly true. I bet it was also who you are as a person too, Jay, because you give what you get what you give. And
I believe that.
Both Sheryl and Mark are incredible humans. I mean, and I was so happy to see her photos from her wedding as well. She looked so happy, which is...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was so nice to see.
And Mark is such a sincere, transparent human. He tells it like it is, that's for sure. I saw on a post, a LinkedIn post also, your relationship with Deepak. How was that?
I love Deepak. I have a deep interest more and more in issues of self-realization and inner engineering and things that he's dedicated his life to. So we recently had a lunch in New York, and it was absolutely lovely. I'm looking at joining his board, potentially being an advisor to him. And the lunch went so well that he ended up bringing me to his office, and we had a great talk at his office. And then he said, "You know what? I need you to meet my wife." So we ended up walking over to his apartment and meeting his wife. So it ended up being like a 3 or 4 hour kind of thing, and our relationship is only growing deeper and deeper, which is lovely. And now I'm introducing him to some of the nonprofits I'm involved in. I'm doing a lot of human rights work for my mentor from law school, Erwin Kotler. I chair his Raoul Wallenberg Center for Human Rights. So it's just wonderful to see how things become so interconnected and interrelated. Deepak's involved in some Web3 projects that I'm involved in. So it was just a wonderful time that we had together very recently.
I mean, he's been in our lounge as well in Davos, and we have so many friends in common. I love this. We're just, our lives are just, woo, so interconnected. How do you, get involved in all of this stuff? I mean, you just keep evolving from your social impact work and now in Web3, and what's left on your list, what's happening this year and beyond. Like, where do you go?
The more that I could do to affect positive change from a human rights perspective, the happier that I'll be in terms of the impact that I've made on the world. As I mentioned, I'm chairing the Raoul Wallenberg Center for Human Rights, and it's run by Erwin Kotler, who's an international human rights champion who represented people like Nelson Mandela back in the day, and was Canada's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, where he enacted all kinds of progressive laws, freed more people who were wrongfully convicted in 1 year, more than any of the previous ministers combined. So today we're representing political prisoners all around the world, the Nelson Mandelas of today, if you will, and having some incremental success, and that's really important to us. We recently released a paper on Ukraine and the crimes of Putin and the threat of further genocide, and that made it onto the front page of the New York Times, and our staff was interviewed all day on CNN. So all issues of human rights are really important to me, with women's rights actually at its core, well beyond the corporate world. So the more I could do to impact our world in a positive way, the more stoked I'll be about the activities I'm involved in.
It's really quite remarkable. With all the accomplishments you've done to date, is there something you're the most proud of?
I'd say the most important bucket of activity that I'm involved in really is being a husband and a father. And the 3 kids that my beautiful wife Renee and I have brought up are really my crown jewels, and they're just incredible human beings. And I was just saying in a previous Zoom that really my kids have become my closest advisors, and it's really a remarkable thing. Like, they go from being babies and being fed and being so dependent on me. And now, whenever I'm in a really nuanced kind of dilemma sort of situation, they're the ones advising me. And I'm always just blown away by the wisdom of these young kids.
I love that. And I think you have another kind of accomplishment, not that you don't have enough talent already. You're a songwriter. Is that also true?
That's true. You could search my name on like Spotify or Apple Music, and you'll see some of my music. A lot of it I've held back, but I'm going to bring it out probably pretty soon. Writing music and listening to music is a major passion of mine, and I've actually written songs for every member of my family. Typically, instead of doing speeches at great occasions, I'll sit at the piano and play some original songs to my loved ones.
Oh my God! Well, I have my daughter's wedding coming up. Her name is Drew. So if you have any inspiration by next week, for Nashville, Tennessee, little country something, let me know.
I love that. Yeah, I'll get right to work. I love Nashville, by the way. I was there recently.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. I mean, music capital of the world. Favorite artist? Who's your favorite artist?
Good question. I'd say probably my favorite album would be Simon and Garfunkel, the Concert in the Park.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I think that's probably a lot of people's favorite artist. Best advice for living life unscripted.
Don't worry about results. Just live a fulfilled, deep, and meaningful life, and all else will follow.
That's really good advice. Well, I have to say, I see in the background hope, and I think that that is just a great word, hope. What are you hopeful for?
I'm hopeful for a future that imbues within all of us as global citizens an understanding of the existential crises that we all must face together. And Hope by Jane Goodall is actually a perfect segue into another individual that has inspired me greatly and has done such amazing work. And we need to listen to the wise women like Jane Goodall so that our world will be better.
Well, there you go, Jay. Well, I have to say that I am so grateful for you being in my world, and I am so appreciative and inspired by all that you do. So thank you so much. And the entire FQ community thanks you for all that you do and all that we are going to do so much more together. So thank you.
I cannot wait.